from the original Father-Son voiceover podcast studios. John's on the couch from VOMP. Hudson's here from Hudson Barsmith's voiceover talent. And there is Mr. TBVOT himself, Todd Barsmith's voiceover talent right there. Right now we're going to do our numbers. So this is VOMP's numbers, Todd's numbers, and Hudson's numbers. So as always, lead us off, Johnny, and get us started.
Sure thing. So we had 72 warm responses this week. Or sorry, 73. 73.
It was a big difference.
Yes. Yeah. Don't always know what the difference is as to why they're more than others, but this was a good week in the sense of warm responses. 25 auditions opportunities out there.
Wow.
You know, some of those are from our roster or a group of people in that but we count those because
Opportunities are opportunities, yeah.
And so, as far as I know, we haven't gotten any confirmation on, I don't believe, any of those. So those are still out there. And we know of one person that has used our roster a few times that they can be slow in deciding, and we know that can happen with others too. So we're waiting on those. We had 4 reported jobs. Deanna Johnston, Mike Stout, Bill DeWeese with a recurring job, and Hudson Barsmith
with a recurring job.
Yeah. Yep. So
how about that for Deanna?
Yeah. And then Deanna. Yep. It was great to hear that from her.
That is, yeah.
She's been staying solid in her efforts, and it's paying off. I will say that we did have 2 audition opportunities. I think kind of an audition, and then one that was kind of an audition / job that came in, and these were for people that have left our company for whatever reason. As we say, your business is your business, and it's none of our business. That's why we have the month-to-month contract. You need to do what's best for you. They left, and one person that left got 2 opportunities with auditions, and I believe those came from back in October.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes. So they're out there. And then another person who had left, I believe, had a chance at I think it was a couple spots at something, and we haven't heard back from them on either of those. So again, we're sending out. Just because they're not replying back to you right away doesn't mean that it isn't going to pay off in the future. And you might even find that it pays off in the future if for some reason you choose to leave.
Keep planting the seeds.
Yep.
Especially, I mean, we're fine with people leaving VO Marketing Pro. We know we aren't God's answer to direct email marketing. Actually, you are. You know, you folks should be doing your direct email marketing. And if you want us to help out, or if you're at that point like I was 5-6 years in, I did most of the marketing myself with help from you, but I just marketed. And then when I made $81,000 in 2015, I said, you know what? I think I need to get somebody to help me here so that I can be behind the microphone. That's kind of, we're not against people who want to, come and be a part of VO Marketing Pro. You might have a kind of an anomaly type situation, but typically they're people that have done the marketing themselves or made money somehow, and they've got some money. They want to stay behind the microphone and they want to outsource it. And so even if you're doing that, then as we'll find out this week, Hudson did a hybrid approach. So we'll hear more about that from him.
One last thing I'll say is just that we continue to get stories on that same thread. Same thread there is that keep on getting stories when people share Joe sends out Thursday, checking in to see what you guys got, whether it's auditions, warm responses, or jobs. Through our efforts, or if you want to check to see if there's one that maybe contacted you and you aren't sure how they got a hold of you, that's what we do every Thursday. People are doing a really good job of even telling us how they're doing in their hybrid approach. And a lot of people, again, it's just a nice way to, when you're not getting something maybe from us, you're doubling your efforts, and it feels like you're doing something. I know that I've been doing that more. Now it's fun to kind of, if I have any sort of slow time, that I will go out and look for production companies. It just makes you feel like you're doing something and you're getting that out. And so if you have that option to do that, we want to be an arm of your marketing efforts. And so we really enjoy hearing those stories about how your success is happening with your hybrid approach. And so keep those stories coming. It encourages us to know that not only are you in it with us for the long haul, but you're in it yourself, and that it works. So
there's something psychological about doing everything, at least within your power, doing everything you can. And if some of it is hiring VO Marketing Pro and maybe you're not getting as many results as you'd like, and then you do it yourself and combined, you go to bed at night and you say, at least I marketed with direct email marketing the best I knew how. I did everything I could. I had a company who's a pro at doing it. I'm doing it. And again, there's something psychological. 1 week you'll get some warm replies or a job from VO Marketing Pro. Nothing from yourself, from your own efforts. And then 2 weeks later, it'll be Cricket's VO Marketing Pro and you'll get something for yourself. And it just kind of helps you stay encouraged. So yeah, I like those reports. Those are great.
I can attest to that. This last week, this whole month, I've been very slow. And you said employ the hybrid approach. And I've been doing it, and I will admit that it's, instead of sitting around, not that anybody else is just sitting around not doing anything, but sometimes there's lulls in jobs. There was for me. And just having something to do, search and keep track of and send emails out, keeps you busy, kind of keeps your mind off of going crazy, is what I'm saying.
And you can go crazy.
Yes.
Yep, you can go crazy on those very slow weeks. Start questioning everything. That's why you have to have a simple business plan that
and
works.
just keep doing it.
And work that business plan.
All right. My numbers this week, I had one audition. Haven't heard back from that. That was like what you were saying. I had 11 warm responses. Good. Now, remember, last week we did our numbers on Thursday. So this is Friday to Friday. So I had a couple come in after we did our numbers, so I added them to this week's numbers. And then some of my editing that I did for Dad was Friday to Friday instead of, Saturday, Sunday to Friday or whatever, however it goes.
You usually do it.
Yeah. Anyway, so one audition, 11 warm responses. I had one job from a recurring client, $300. I got an Upwork job for $50, so I'll get $40. And then Fiverr, I got a $7 job, which I'll get $5.6, $5.60. And then I did 20 hours of editing for you this week, which kept me busy in some ways, but I am happy to do, we've talked about this, I'm happy to do editing, but I want to be doing voiceover stuff, of course. So when I'm not making money doing voiceover stuff, I know I'm helping my dad and he needs that help so that he can continue to pump out lots and lots of work. I still like it when I'm getting my own. So anyway.
That's what you want to do. You don't want to be an editor. You want to be a voiceover talent. But right now you're able to keep afloat.
Yeah, I was $4.40 off of my thing because of all of the editing I did. I'll admit that. So I had $745.60 this week, thanks to editing. Anyway, that's I beat the bushes and I beat the bushes and then I beat them again, and it was somebody I had worked with just maybe a month ago, and they said, "Can you please send me a quote?" This was just yesterday, so they said we need it by tomorrow, and I said I could do it, and they said you're the man for the job, and I said you bet. So there it is.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I did, audiobooks. I don't do those anymore. I did full production things, with music and sound effects because I just needed to work. And you just need to work and keep your business going in the right direction and work that plan. You're in, almost into year 2, into year 3, actually, almost 2 full years.
It'll be the start of 3 years, yeah.
And
in
we
April.
all know that, especially with direct email marketing, it's going to take, probably close to 4 years to really get good traction. So speaking of good traction, Fiverr, $1,721. By the way, you can hear I got a cold again. It's the third one in 6 months. I used to get one once a year. I don't know what's going on, but I started getting it on Wednesday, so I really had to fight through it yesterday and today. $1,721 for Fiverr. Direct email marketing, $9,211.50. $4,268 came from one recurring client. Almost $4,300. That's a client that I started working with in 2016. I got a few jobs here and there. They started using me more in 2017 and 2018. They kind of went away in the pandemic year. Then all of a sudden they came back with a vengeance. Now, these are inflated numbers because they've had
the influx,
probably 35 projects, and they're all, anywhere from $350 to $600 a piece. They're long form. medical narration kind of stuff, medical technology stuff. But anyway, my point being is even with recurring clients, sometimes you're pushing that boulder up the hill. You're cultivating them. You're grooming them. And what you're doing is you're doing what you did with that client there. You're on the ball, ready to work for them, ready to do a good job. The next time they have something, they'll think of you. They'll keep you in mind. And this company now uses me a lot, especially right now with this glut. And so 4,200, almost half, was one client, which I don't want to have 50% of my income coming from one client. That's why I diversify. But right now, I'll certainly take it, a few months out of every year. My total this year, I had. I'll say this before I give the total. I had a couple of auditions, and then I had clients that when you're really busy, this is what happens. When you're not busy, you know what happens. When you're not busy, it's like you never win any auditions. You're waiting for the phone to ring. You're waiting for the email. There are always revisions. It's like, I can't get a job. But when you have a lot of jobs and you're doing a lot of work, oftentimes it seems like they're jumping out of the bushes, like you didn't even expect them. I haven't heard from this client for 6 months or for 3 months, and all of a sudden they've got a job for you. Why? Because you're busy doing work. And so you just kind of lose sight of things. You do auditions, you don't even think about it. You just set it and forget it. And all of a sudden they come back. Hey, you got that job. That's happened this week too, a couple times. So my week was $10,932.50. $10,932.50.
Together, we would have
One
11.
thing I would piggyback off of what you said is I remember when you started, you had some clients that didn't pay, ones that came back to you, like you were talking about, come back to you with not the greatest of paying job, but some of them have been now long-term people that then have come back with some bigger projects that have either more jobs that make you more, as you talk about having like a full day, or they're ones that it was just that they didn't have a good paying client. And so now that they do. So that's why sometimes if you say, well, I don't want to, it's your business, so you do what you want to do. But sometimes if you turn down a project just because it's one project is too little, you turn down a company that might not come back to you again.
Yep.
And so then you lose
with a
out
price
on,
that's higher.
there's
Maybe like
a
you
good,
said, yeah.
I just know that being in it with you, that you found that not you just take any job, but that you take a job
flexible.
Being flexible because it might end up in a long-term project that they get into their video production company that they weren't expecting, and they don't, and so they're like, well, this guy works for anything and we like working for him, or he or she, and we're going to keep coming back to him with this. And so that's what you mean by that's. I mean, I've seen the cultivating of a recurring client. I know that there was one client that you kind of really, like you had talked about, is not wanting one reoccurring client, because one time you went with a client for about a year that paid you very well, and then all of a sudden they dried up and you had not done as much marketing, and you started to kind of get hurt by that. So that's why those are just stories that I remember, and seeing those things happen in real life.
And I've had my share of losses doing business that way. I've had people say, hey, we'll have a lot of recurring work. Yeah. Can you just do this one for this little bit? Yeah. And either they come back and it's the same price and I have to say, no, I'm not going to do that, or they used me for one. And so that happens. So it's not all, roses and sunshine. On the other hand, when the highest amount of money I've ever made in my life before voiceover was $50,000 a year, and you make 11 in 1 week, that's a little bit hard to say, I think I'm doing something, that I don't want to do, or I feel taken advantage. I don't feel taken advantage of. I just don't.
Hard to feel taken advantage.
Yeah.
John's got something for us, it looks like.
Yeah. So speaking of people in VOMP and them doing their own direct email marketing, we had Ben Hauk, who has been with us for now 3 months in VO Marketing Pro. We really like working with him.
Like having you, Ben.
Yep. And he is doing his own direct email marketing, and he is doing it the way that he's been taught in the videos. Through our videos, we have DIY videos. And through what he's learning, he and his wife watch the podcast, but they also watch.
They're not learning a whole lot.
No, they're not learning a whole lot in that.
Getting dumber on that
They're
side
getting
of
dumber
things.
on that side of things. Yep.
Tough.
But the numbers part, they like, or at least he likes to watch. And he just had a question that he sent in earlier this week.
Nice.
a couple questions actually, and it's regarding, like I said, his own efforts. So he puts his warm leads and his cold leads separately so that he can stay in front of those warm leads, as we suggest, 3 months. But as you've said, you'll go into detail maybe about a couple of thoughts about you have about warm leads and how much you stay in front of them, as we talked about yesterday. When just you and I were talking about this question. Got hot leads. So if you have somebody that's like, yeah, I got a project coming up or something like that, you keep that more as a hot, so you can stay in front of he or she or the company in general, and maybe check in with them a little bit more than 3 months. Yeah. And then cold leads. And his first question is about the cold leads. He says, what do we recommend about emailing cold leads? Would you recommend emailing them at 3 months after the first email, or something else? So his point is you send an email, you find this company, you send it to them, you don't get anything back. We consider that a cold email because they didn't get back. But do you treat that the same as your warm leads, or do you and send it 3 months, or do you do something else? And then on that same, I'll just ask both of them because they're kind of in conjunction. Would you recommend, with regards to the cold leads, when you send them out, would you recommend sending the basic email, so the generic, or the more basic one that you send out, like introducing yourself?
The first one.
The first one.
Contact, yeah.
Or a different one? So two parts to the cold leads. When do you send them out? How often do you send out to those people? And then how often or what do you do? What kind of email do you send out the second time around? And if you want to, I know that you had said a little bit about the warm leads yesterday and how often, like when you started off with the warm leads. Yeah. So I'll let you take it.
Well, help me, because my head is kind of clogged with sickness.
What's your definition of a cold lead? Because would somebody not getting a hold of you at all, not even responding to that, I wouldn't consider that a cold lead. I would get a hold of them. I've gone through our database twice now, and there's people that haven't gotten a hold of me, and I still send the same email out to them. Basically, maybe I have different demos that I've produced since my first time, getting a hold of them, but I just send out the same one. Maybe I shouldn't.
I think that's the question.
That's what I'm asking him is what do you consider a cold?
Well, there's brand new. The first time you contact them, there's that. And then we call them cold leads. They didn't get back with you at all with a warm response. You sent an email, but it's a cold lead.
That's what I was defining. I think that's what he's defining it as.
Some people say once a month.
Really?
Some people think you should get in front of people 12 times a year. Some people say every 6 weeks. Some people say 2. There's not a hard, fast thing. I always did 3 every 3 months. As a general rule.
4 cold leads too?
Yeah. Okay. And the reason I did that was simply because I just don't like to bug people. I personally don't like to bug people. Now, this might sound counterintuitive when you're trying to be aggressive and get jobs, but I don't want to turn them off. So I figure every 3 months, because a lot of times they won't even remember you. So you just need to stay back in front of them. We do every 3 months. My assistant has always done every 3 to 4 months even. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't be a hard, fast rule. Maybe when you're first starting out, maybe you want to do it every couple of months. But I would definitely change up the email. You might have to reintroduce yourself. I do that a lot, where quick update from Todd Barsness, voiceover talent. My first one is I contacted you a few months ago, but I just want to reintroduce myself. Then I put different links there, just in case they kept me in mind, or they say, yeah, I know you, I've already heard these before. If you don't have anything, then you might want to just, change bullet point 1 to bullet point 2. In other words, one link to the other link, or, find one that you can put at the top. But change the subject line, change the first part, and if you can, change the demos too. But I wouldn't be sold on or so hard and fast. Todd does it every 3 to 4 months. That's what I've got to do, because we're at different points in our business. But I personally didn't, even when I was really hungry, I didn't send out. I sent out more to my warm or clients than I did to my cold leads. That's what you were talking about yesterday.
That there's a 3-month rule, if you will, that we kind of go by with regards to warm leads, and we suggest that, and that's true. We wouldn't go from that. But if you go through your warm leads and you're like, well, I don't know, this might be a hotter lead than I think, or whatever, you just want to see what happens.
Yeah, if somebody said to you in the middle of February, I'm going to be having some projects coming up in March. I'd get right on that in the first week of March and just say, hey, here's Todd again. You had said that you had some projects. Just wanted to know if, what's going on, if you need me to do a test read, a sample, if anything's come down the pike. Sometimes they forget. Or some other new shiny thing comes and then you're out. And I think you, just not to get off that, I think you had one where somebody said, oh, you'd be perfect. You would have been perfect for the job a week ago. That happens too. That's happened to me many times.
And like you said, of course, the week that I'm really not busy, it just happened that when I sent out at that point in the database was a week after he had used somebody for a job that he said I'd be perfect for.
Yeah.
Too bad. I wish I had a time machine. Anyway.
So we make cold calls on behalf of the roster. And so, sometimes you get a little bit of inside baseball with those people as to what, we get individual inquiries all the time. We just put them in different folders, and some of them put them based on your voice style. And so they are keeping you in mind, even if they aren't responding. But they get these all the time. So to the point of reintroducing yourself, don't be offended or bothered even if they've said to you, if there's a hot lead and they say, hey, get in contact with me, or, you'd be great for this project. And then the next time you get a hold of them, it's like, you'd be, thanks for getting a hold of me, or can you send me your demos? Because they're busy and they do forget. That's the point of, if you think if it's going to be a really warm response, a hot client or a hot lead, then stay in front of them a little bit more, because they just forget. And they have a lot of people emailing them, and it's not just VO Marketing Pro. We get inquiries from people all the time saying that they do some sort of direct email marketing. And so there's other people that definitely lots of people that don't know about us that do direct email marketing. So they're getting lots every day, every week, especially the bigger ones. So
plan on people forgetting you.
Yep.
And then if they say, no, I haven't forgotten you, I've got you in a folder. Okay, good. Yep. Just wanted to know. That might be a colder, warm lead.
Yep.
Excuse me. That you might want to just put it off to a 4-month.
Yeah.
But if somebody's talking about a job, or they say we use, don't hesitate to get back in front of me, or something that, hey, I really like your voice, I'll keep you in mind, I would get on that more often. Every week, no. Every month, probably not, depending on what the verbiage was. Mm-hmm. But I told you that when I first started, I had like 3 or 4 clients that had me doing corporate stuff. And after doing audiobooks, that was like huge money, $250 for a 4-minute video. And I remember calling this guy from Ohio, probably every month, and saying, hey, Paul, do you have anything Nope, don't have anything, but I'll keep you in mind. And then, a month later, send him an email. Yeah, I got something for you. Nice. So I don't know if he had something for me, but I was persistent. Mm-hmm. Just be sensitive, read the room, the conversation, feel the temperature. That's part of the game, if you will. You've got to be able to feel, is this person getting a little agitated, or are they like, no, hey, I'm fine with this? Then, go for it.
Take advantage of that relationship.
Exactly.
Not getting too cute, but, with things, maybe, they don't necessarily want to hear a ton of things about your personal life or things like that, but not suggesting that you would, but just being
if you're not
sensitive.
If you're not that busy, market, and a part of marketing is this big part, obviously, is staying in front of warm, hot leads, if you will, especially the hot leads, but also the cold, leads, digging for new ones, hybrid approach, but also staying in front of them regularly. So, because it just takes a lot of contacts.
Well, and as Hudson said that it's tough in his mind to define what cold leads are, because there's times where you'll get something 5 months after you've sent out to that person, and they weren't necessarily cold. They just they were keeping you in mind or whatever, and so there are people out there that are keeping you in mind. So treat it more as a like Dad said about trying to get in front of those cold leads, as Ben calls them, and as we would call them too. I mean, we call them that too. It's not like there's any sort of, but there's just a definition as to what that means exactly and how we look at those. And how much we stay in front of those. So
If somebody says, I'll keep you in mind, don't believe them. Not because they're lying or not because they're not good people. It's just because they have busy lives. The minute they get off the phone or read an email, they've got things to just think about your life. I mean, you got kids that are sick and you got kids to take to school and go to soccer practice, and you've got parents that are aging. You got all these different things, bills to pay, your own business to run, spouse or partner. And so
taxes.
again, it's not that they're trying to forget you.
No.
And if you don't overdo it, some of them will say, and I've had them say, don't worry, Todd, we've got you in mind. We really like your voice. Leave them alone then and trust them. But for other people, just say, well, I know you say that, but I understand you're busy. And so I'm going to keep you in mind.
Yep, exactly.
That's the thing.
It's great.
Well, thanks, Ben, for asking the question. We really enjoy that when people ask questions. So if you're somebody who's got questions or whatever, feel free to ask. You can email us at hudsonbarsness@yahoo.com, or you can email John Barsness at vomarketingpro.com, or you can just ask the questions in the comment section if you want. Whatever's fine. So this has been Numbers. This will be in its own voiceover-related playlist. And coming up this next Wednesday is our 50th episode of the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. So if you want to check out something that's a little bit more lighthearted, fun, we think is fun, I guess, check it out and see what you think for yourself. So we will sign off here, and we will see you later.